Good, how are you?
No, you're good. You ready? Good evening. Oh, can you hear me out there, Maxine? Can you hear me, Maxine? No? Oh, there it is. Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to our Community Redevelopment Agency hybrid regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 14th. It is 5:30 p.m. Call the roll, please.
Chair James.
Here.
Vice Chair Salvino.
Here.
Board Member Davis.
Here.
Board Member Llewellyn.
Here.
Board Member Odman.
Here.
CRA Director Chen. City Attorney Bootsis.
Good evening, I'm here.
Thank you. This is citizens' comments. Do we have anyone that would like to address the board? Moving on to administrative reports.
Thank you, Chair James. Again, to reiterate, there's a lot going around with CRA. So in our administrative report, I listed all of the CRA staff with contact numbers for people to reach us. We'd very much like to engage with anybody who has interests, concerns, or issues. Thank you. To provide you an update on the CRA plan, last week on Wednesday and Thursday, we ran 2 sessions each for the public workshops. That is to get interactive input with the public for the update of the CRA plan.
They're having a problem hearing you.
Okay, maybe I need to lean closer to the mic.
I think it's the audio, something with the audio. You see how loud mine is?
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault.
Test, test, test. Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Is it better for you all?
Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Ralph. Just to repeat, for the CRA plan update, on Wednesday and Thursday of last week, we held 2 sessions on each day, an afternoon session from 2 to 4 and an evening session from 5 to 7. These were public workshops to engage with the consultant. The idea is to try to get as much input from our residents and businesses and constituents as possible that can influence the outcome of the updated plan. In terms of the Dania Beach Innovation Ecosystem, May, we conducted the Passions to Profit workshop, which was another hit. The total in attendees, there were 372 people across the 4 weeks in attendance, averaging 93 people per class. There were the attendance represented 13 states and 5 countries, and we had 33 graduates. And by the way, on this program, we did have 8 people from Dania Beach who participated in the programs. Chair James, just to remind you, we have the graduation certificates in your mailbox. When you get a chance to sign them, just let me know and I'll pick them up. Oh, wow, you're so efficient. Thank you. I had mentioned to each of you in the past about doing some improvements to our CRA website and try to improve our branding image as a business destination, as well as our investment potential. We have 2 new economic development tools that have been installed on the CRA website. And with that, I'd like to give you a quick demonstration of the tools that have been installed so you'll see what they're like. Okay. So now when you go to the CRA website, this is the opening page, the landing page that you see. We do have some large banner pictures, try to illustrate some ambiance and different dimensions of Dania Beach in that. But then I've added a section that is starting to give us some recognition as a business brand, as a business destination, and so forth. Basically describing this as the heart of a robust, diverse power center among one of the most diverse power centers in the country. And with that, underneath that are the two tool buttons that I've described to you. The first of them provides a community profile. And this is in dimensions. You'll see the left-hand column actually has 6 different perspectives that describe our community. I have mixed the data in this between Broward County and Dania Beach. So in terms of the economy, the Broward County economy is more relevant in our description as an investment opportunity and a business relocation. You can actually scroll over these. They provide you information about the data source and so forth. You can actually scroll over the graphs below, and it gives you definitions and quantifying numbers and so forth as to what's going on with those numbers. In the next tab, when you click resident, the residence button is all about Dania Beach. This is our numbers. These are our per capita incomes and so forth. An interesting piece on this, if you look at the map, there is actually an age slide that you can adjust at will. And so, for instance, if you want to see where the workforce is located in Dania Beach, you can set the age from 20 to 59. And it shows you where the most intensive population of that age group are within the city. If you want to see where are our retired populations, just a moment, I can slide this, oops. There you go. Let's say set this from 60 to 80. Now the map shows where the concentration of our retired population is. So this is an interactive map to fit what people need. For instance, if you're a company looking for corporate relocations, you may have certain age demographics that are ideal for your workforce, or you may have age demographics that are more ideal for your customers. You can actually pick that kind of thing out of this interactive map. In terms of our households, again, these households reflect Dania Beach. And again, the map can be adjusted to reflect household incomes. So you can pick how you want to see the household income distribution across the city. And in fact, this is something that is kind of telling. If we go from basically 0 to a $40,000 household income, which is somewhat of a lower end economic strata, it shows you where the concentration of that household income is. On the other hand, you can set it higher. Again, if you're a company looking for where your customer base is, where to locate your company, that can be interacted with that as well. In terms of dwelling units, again, this is Dania Beach reflection. It's reflecting, for instance, the circles at the top shows you the comparison of for rent versus for sale residences. A lot of cities would regard the near 50-50 balance of our for sale and for rent properties to be a highly ideal mix. It gives people coming into our community and a chance to kind of stick their toe in the water and see if they, by renting, to see if they actually want to become permanent residents here. Not everybody moves to a new city and jumps right in to buy a house. So a wide range of opportunities for rent is a good opportunity for growing and attracting people. It also shows how that mixes with the state of Florida as well across the United States. Again, ours reflecting a highly balanced between for rent versus for sale. In terms of construction, it's always a measure for prosperity in a community. The construction numbers go back to Broward County. Again, it's significant about Broward County because basically across the entire county, the average travel time for work is approximately 30 minutes, which puts us across basically the entire population of the county, our potential workforce for Dania Beach. So we want to reflect that we're a strong, diverse workforce environment for attracting both businesses as well as investors. The top area shows the residential building permits. The top graph on the right-hand side shows the residential building permits, as well as the line graph shows the value of those permits. And then the bottom graph breaks the residential permits apart for multifamily versus single family. And I think this is a fairly significant reflection because I've noticed that it's really a fairly recent phenomena, just really in the last 10 to 12 years, where multifamily development has really significantly overtaken single family development. In terms of the workforce, again, the workforce is reflective of the Broward County workforce. This shows educational attainment across the circles at the top. Then on the right-hand side, it shows occupations of residents. And then the colored squares in the lower left-hand side is showing employment by industries. So people can see what kind of industries are prevalent here, as well as what kind of occupations are here. And then the last piece of our profile is our climate. And again, this goes back, this is all reflecting Dania Beach, our median property value of $195,000, median monthly rent, $1,371. Again, these are reflective of Dania Beach, not Broward County. And the lower graph is actually showing weather trends in terms of precipitation by month, as well as high and low temperatures per month. So this is one of your new tools. And the second tool is for someone who is interested in Dania Beach and wants to do a little exploring, we have a property search tool. And when you click that, it comes up to this page, and basically someone looking at it can put in their parameters. So I'm going to just do for lease. Let's look at retail properties. Let's do this search by space. So I want to see retail properties of 1,000 square feet. Click the button. It maps out where those properties exist. Whoops. There we go. It shows you where retail properties exist, and then pictures of the properties on the right-hand side. And it's interactive. So for instance, if I highlight one of the dots for location, it actually gives me the building name and so forth. And if I go to the other side, let's look at this building, the Codner building. It actually shows you what's there. It shows you when it was built, gives you parameters, well, how much square footage is available? What's the rent per square foot? This is $30 per square foot per year. They have a space of 2,520 square feet. It shows you some description for transportation. It shows you what it's close to, so distance from the airport, from the seaport, parking spaces, as well as contact for leases. So this is now embedded on the CRA website landing page. It is a way for people to explore a potential interest in either coming to or investing in Dania Beach. Okay, let me try to take care of this. How do I get out of share screen here? There we go. I think that does it. Whoops, no, it's still on share screen. Geez, I'm not sure how to get out of this mode. Just get out of share.
I do have one question while you're getting out of share
Thank you.
mode.
Got it.
My question is, how often is the data updated? Because I saw some numbers that only went to 2020. And
Okay.
so I'm not sure, like, how recent is this information? Because I would want to know with the rents that are fluctuating, is that if that's going to, show on that tool search.
Actually, our agreement with local Intel, who designs and provides this, their fee is $2,000 a year to provide those tools to us. It includes the design, it includes the maintenance of their data, as well as they do constant updates as each segment of that data is updated from its source. Most of this is coming from the U.S. Census, Bureau of Labor Statistics, and data that's put out by the county. So as all that data is updated, they automatically update it on our site.
But how updated is it? So do we have to just wait till the latest update that they have? Like one of those slides I saw, it only went to 2019, 2020, but we're in 2022. So I guess that's why I'm asking, how often are they updating it, I guess, at the county, if that's what we're waiting on, or the census, for it to really be a true number, if we're looking at those things?
Okay. Well, again, it depends on the specific data set that you're talking about, but a lot of county data is updated every 3 years. So I would expect that we'll see updates as we get into 2023 for a lot of those. In terms of population data that comes off the U.S. Census, the U.S. Census does not update population data as frequently. So again, it's only as the data is updated from its source. All of the source data used on these tools are nationally recognized and quotable sources.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. Anyone
All right.
else?
The next subject I want, there was some discussion.
Hold on.
Oh,
Commissioner
yes.
Davis, it's already on.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Michael, I just want to, I think some of the tools and the features of the tools are really, would be beneficial for prospective business owners and people who are looking to invest in Dania Beach. I'm wondering what the plan is to get the information out to the public, the marketing plan, if you will, to try to ensure that people know that they have these tools at their fingertips.
And you've actually hit a very important point. We need to figure out how to more effectively reach our public, our constituents, so that they're aware of the resources that we have. I can tell you this was a frequent mention at the public workshop with this CRA plan. Basically, we're trying to get out. So, for instance, for the last few months in our monthly and in my admin report, Bill is actually going out every month to call on local businesses and property owners. He'll be carrying flyers with him to kind of let people know that we're having more resources available on our website that's available to them. We'll make announcements on social media. We'll make announcements on our webpage. Of course, you have to be there in the first place. We also will do email blasts across using our CRM software, trying to connect with everybody that we can to advise people that we're trying to expand and improve the resources available to them on our webpage. I can tell you, it will take us a while to be significantly more effective, but we'll make that effort because that is the key.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next piece is there was a fair amount of discussion about the sidewalk crossings at the FEC railroad tracks. I was directed to go and get some, I guess, the lowdown on FEC's position and FDOT's position on pedestrian crossings at the railroad tracks. I actually contacted the engineer who heads up the permits function for FDOT District 4, which is us. And they also brought in the the engineer for FDOT District 4, who specializes in rail crossings for FDOT. They have provided a number of observations as well as recommendations to us. And so I'll just do those as succinctly as possible. FEC is strongly opposed to rail crossings, especially pedestrian crossings. FEC will not discuss a sidewalk pedestrian crossing unless it is the missing piece of an existing sidewalk grid along an entire corridor. And if the condition is met that in fact it is the missing piece in a corridor, FEC design standards are strict and very expensive to construct. Further, they observed that the conditions of existing sidewalk grids on Dania Beach Boulevard, Northwest 1st Street, and Old Griffin Road do not exist today. Second thing, along all three streets, FEC used the resources they had at hand, and they looked at, they seemed that visually all three of these corridors have pinch points that would require the city to acquire right of way to add sidewalks beyond just the shoulder of the road. The third observation, and this is very critical because it will affect anything that you attempt to do with design, and that is the FEC rail is elevated above the local street grid. Depending on the exact crossing and whether you're crossing from the west or from the east, it appears that the FEC tracks are elevated somewhere in the range of about 4 feet, 3 to 4 feet above the street grid, which means that to do an ADA accessible sidewalk, the ADA standards require that a sidewalk have no more than a 2% slope to be ADA accessible. And in mathematics, what that equates to, for every 1 foot of elevation requires 28 feet of ramp to accomplish the 2% slope. So if in fact the FEC tracks are just 3 feet above our existing street grid, this would mean that a ramp of 90 feet long would be required to achieve the 2% grid. Now, the challenge with that is the FEC tracks has 3rd Avenue and 4th Avenue that runs immediately parallel to those tracks. So if you're constructing these long ramps to get to the FEC level of height, it means that you basically have 2-foot speed humps at each intersection of the crossing avenue. Anyway, FEC also observed, because I mentioned to him that the city is trying to promote a complete streets project on Northwest 1st Street, FEC suggested that that would be the ideal place to try to approach FEC, because that would reflect their policy about having a connective street grid for sidewalks. And the complete streets project would actually accommodate that piece and would probably be successful in engaging them for conversation. With that, I can tell you that this subject has the possibility of impacting street grids, street elevations, and stormwater issues from Sterling Road to Old Griffin Road. If this is something that you want to continue to pursue, I think that, again, when it was first mentioned, I acknowledge that this is a safety issue that would be very good if we could address, but this has a possibility of significant ripple effects. This needs to be handled by the Public Service Department instead of the CRA.
Thank you. What did you work with the Public Services Department? And I'm sorry. I think that if we have a viable street that the FEC wouldn't mind entertaining, that we should maybe start there. And absolutely, you go to the subject experts that would be public services to work hand in hand with them. I think that's how we've always operated, as a city and the CRA, when we've needed certain things from the city, we're able to partner with them and work with them in order to get it done. I certainly don't think that, you would know everything that public services would know and vice versa. So is this something that you're able to do?
I've already reached out to Public Services to advise them of what I have found. I also reached them to explore if, in fact, they have existing surveys of the roadways, if they have measurements of the existing right-of-ways, if they have topological surveys and so forth that reflect, for instance, the height of the FEC tracks. They do not have this information in hand, but again, at your direction, if you want to move forward, I'm happy to work with and assist them, but they actually need to manage this because this has a far-reaching effect in our street grid. But I'll be
Okay.
happy to help.
Does anyone have an issue with him pursuing this for public services? No? All right. Nope.
Okay. Thank you. The next was Dania After Dark. I have to admit it was canceled because of the forecast of some extreme rain that frankly miraculously blew to the north. I can tell you it was seriously looked at by both myself, Keisha, Eugene, who is our project manager for managing this, as well as the event producer. We looked at AccuWeather and Underweather, the two primary websites available to the general public. Both of them reflected a high percentage probability of rain that was going to happen between 4 o'clock and 8 to 8:30 of that evening. 2 hours later, those forecasts completely disappeared off their maps. So I'm sorry about not having it, but it was made with a serious understanding and a serious examination of the weather reports available to us. Want to talk to you about your arts and entertainment.
Sorry,
Yes.
Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Mike, I have a question for you in the Dania After Dark.
Yes, sir.
That's the second time we've canceled it this year due to weather.
Yes.
So third time? Third time? Does the promoter get paid?
If we give them 4 hours notice, there's no charge to us.
Was there a charge for any of those three?
I'm sorry?
Was there a charge for any of those three that were
None of
canceled?
those three.
None of those three.
That's right.
What does it cost to do it if we make a mistake?
$8,000.
Okay. The weatherman's not always right most of the time. Okay. I guess I don't know, just canceling 3 of the events so far just kind of like deters the people from coming out. And I'm just wondering sometimes, I mean, I see where you're coming from with the weather report and so on, but they're often wrong. And,
Yes.
And the thing is even if it rains for a while, the event goes on to 10, 11 o'clock at night, and wet or not, people are looking for something to do. It's just something for you to think about before you hastily cancel it next time. I think it'd almost be worth the investment to, unless you just see it says a tropical storm out there, then it's a different story.
I will tell you, that's what the forecast looked like when we looked at it at
Okay.
approximately 12:30 in the afternoon.
Okay.
I also will bring to your attention, because board member Llewellyn is correct, this is the third time. The second time was a little bit different issue. it was canceled because we were experiencing extremely high winds. And in fact, the winds were so high that the large tent that we have set up, which is double anchored, the wind was so high,
Okay.
so hard that it actually lifted that tent and turned it upside
Yeah, I saw
down.
that.
And the problem with that wasn't that there was going to be rain and or that. It's just because of the wind, they couldn't set up the event.
Yeah, I understand. It's just,
Yeah.
we have an event out of where we had 3 up, 3 down so far. It's just kind of, I know it's
Yeah.
not your fault or anything. It's like that. It's just begin to wonder, the event is a great event, but we're missing out on the consistency of it somehow or another. We should almost almost have a rain date or something, you know?
Again, I am very anxious when posed with this question. I really don't like the idea of canceling an event. Um, I, I wish I had a better crystal ball. I'll
Okay,
do everything I
listen, I know
can
you're not.
to.
I'm just wondering if we couldn't like put it up, the promoter wouldn't be able to like do it the following week or something like that. I mean, it wouldn't take us hard to tell people that we
Well,
have a,
We couldn't do that because we don't have the reservation for the stage and that type of stuff on those
Okay.
schedules.
all right, thank you.
Well, who typically decides when it's canceled or not? Is it just is it just the text that comes out and just let us know that it's canceled, or?
Well, the way it generally happens is that the production manager, who has to do all the setup and has to basically he's contracted with all the vendors as well as the food trucks and so forth. He generally raises an issue. We discuss it. We look at the forecasts or websites or whatever we can do to get information that would be dealing with the issue. And from there, if it appears that there is a challenge to it, then that's where the call's made.
Commissioner Llewellyn, Board Member Llewellyn.
Thank you. So I'm wondering if there is something, especially now that we've had 3 of these out of what, 6 that have been had to be canceled. If there's some way that we could look into the contract or discuss with the promoter, some way that either we maybe tier the cost, like so for example, you're saying 4 hours in advance is when you had to cancel, but 2 hours later, it was clear that there wasn't going to be a problem. So what if you only, if you have to cancel closer in time, it's a lesser amount that you have to pay. You know what I'm saying? Like you
I
prorate
do.
it sort of. Or, for example, the day with the wind, I recall specifically, I even took a video of it, that yes, it was windy early on, but by 4 o'clock that afternoon, there was virtually no wind. I actually took a video of the weather vane, the art that was out there, and it wasn't even moving. And it was pretty clear the rest of the night. And other cities on that weekend had other events as well that did go on. They just started later. So maybe that might be a possibility if there's something where there's potential for rain or wind or something that could potentially pass, if there's some way that they might be able to start a little bit later so that it doesn't. I saw a lot of very disappointed people that night, who they were just very upset about it. They were looking forward to it. They were looking forward to being there and spending some time, and they were very frustrated. So, and I know you and I had some conversations about that as well. But it's unfortunate because you have a lot of residents that really look forward to that every month, and you have people from out of town that are looking forward to it as well. People that stay in the hotels, they know about it, and they really want to go and spend some time out there. So, if there's something that we could do to maybe mitigate some of that, so that it's not being canceled, for unforeseen reasons. And again, not that it's your fault, but it's a matter of, we know the weather is what the weather is, especially in South Florida in the summertime. But we need to be a little more consistent on it, because otherwise people are just going to forget the event is even happening. So
I think that's a good suggestion. I'll make some explorations with the production company to see if they have some ideas how we could do perhaps a staged cancellation if it comes to it or not. That is a good idea, and I will explore that.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Um, The next piece I want to advise you, again, in our recent workshop where you had a chance to talk about your priorities with the CRA consultant for the plan update, as well as going back to our existing CRA plan and going back even further to the 2012 economic development blueprint that was done for the city. And arts and entertainment district seems to be a highly desirable and high priority item. So I wanted to let you know that there actually is some significant things coming to you. I want to prepare you for our next month's meeting in July. We're going to invite many of our arts-based businesses and artists to come into here to actually give you a quick introduction of them and give them a chance to talk about themselves and what they do in the context of an arts and entertainment district. Give them each roughly 3 to 5 minutes because there's a lot of them. In fact, what I can tell you, I think we're approaching a critical mass that we will have a justification to identifying an arts and entertainment district. With that, I want to describe to you that Mad Arts in Dania Beach, that is the building that is currently identified as the Gallery of Amazing Things. It is 481 South Federal Highway. Mark Eptikin has brought in a live theater group. We now have a live theater group in Dania Beach. They are called the Thinking Cap Theater, and they put on presentations that are experimental, provocative, and socially conscious plays for the public. And they have already done some of their performances, and that will be a new addition. We'll introduce the executive director of the Thinking Cap Theater to you next month. It seems that we have successfully negotiated Rob Stern Art Glass Studio to Dania Beach. Currently, they've had that studio in Wynwood for the last 20 years, and they're moving their studio to Dania Beach. I can tell you that there is going to be some kind of incentive proposal that will come to you. I will bring that to you next month with the parameters, but just kind of let you know that it is something that's coming. And largely it's because of two things. One is Rob Stern is an internationally recognized artist. He would be described as an anchor tenant of our arts and entertainment district. It will create destination travel, as well as create an arts environment for other small businesses and emerging artists to be the beneficiary of. So it is a catalyst business that I'm going to propose an incentive for. The next piece is Chef Mark Cameron. Chef Mark Cameron is also a nationally renowned chef. He has done shows on CBS, Fox, NBC. He's also been in the Chef Showcase at Arts and Seafood Festival. He was in this year's Arts and Seafood Festival. He's also had restaurants in Wynwood, as well as he currently has a restaurant in Pompano Beach. He feels that he's found a home in Dania Beach. He needs some assistance because basically he's estimated that his construction investment will be in excess of $700,000 to construct a restaurant and studio above. And he is interested in one of the CRA properties for his location. I will bring that to you next month with some suggestions, recommendations for an incentive feature of that. With that, I need your approval tonight. By the CRA statutes, the Florida state statutes that govern the CRA cannot sell a piece of property unless it first publishes its interest or intent to sell in a widely distributed newspaper. in effect, it works more like a legal notice. This is not an RFP. It's a legal notice of our interest to sell. I would like your approval to put an ad in that paper to advertise the CRA's interest to sell properties. I would give the 4 property descriptions. Basically, the properties in question, excuse me 1 minute. The 4 properties in question are at 119, 121, 123, and 125 Pippin Waiters Road. Each of those sites are approximately 1,994 square feet, which means in total, all 4 properties total 0.18 acres. It's less than a quarter acre, but this would be part of the advertisement. The advertisement will be done to comply with the CRA statutes, but it also would be done, I would include a clause that the CRA reserves the right to select any proposal it deems in the best interest of the CRA in its sole discretion, and or to reject any and all proposals. So that means the advertised notice does not in any way obligate you to complete a sale or make a decision. And with that, what that would do is that when I bring you the proposal next month, it would put you in a position to legally make a decision on how you wanted to deal with that property.
Thank you. Those properties that you mentioned, or can you tell me the location of the properties that we were discussing doing townhomes?
For townhomes, I had suggested the Smith Store properties.
No. It was the linear properties that was all bunched up and one was not able to be built on. Is this the same properties,
No,
Kathleen? No, or anybody else know? Because I'm looking at it right here, and those are the properties that we said were too
yes.
narrow and that it would work with townhomes.
And individually, each property is unbuildable because it's too narrow. Even for a townhome, each property is unbuildable as a townhome. If you think about it, collectively, all 4 together is less than 0.2 of an acre.
I understand that, but if someone else on the board could remember, we discussed getting appraisals for these properties to see. I'm just confused that when the direction went from at home Dania Beach to we want to sell, because I don't remember having that conversation here, and it just seems like you're asking for permission to sell off the properties now, but from my discussion, the individuals want the property for free. So I'm really not following. Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Okay, I think that, I remember that we were asking about what the appraisals were, and we discussed at that time that we were going to get an appraisal, but the lots are not buildable. But I think in my opinion of what you have here is you have this, if you accumulate this, and it's not necessarily going to one person, there's a very, very good chance if we're able to do it, that some developer, whether it's the person you're talking about, Michael, or whether it's another housing developer, if that goes up for bid, they're liable to take that opportunity to build townhouses on there. And and that would be the way that, there would be, let's put it this way. I don't have an issue with, I don't know about the rest of the board, but I don't have an issue with putting it up for sale. I would almost bet you that it's not going to go as a restaurant. It's going to end up going, people will develop it to townhouses.
And if I may, because part of this, we have been working with Chef Mark Cameron for several months.
Well, he has a right to bid on it, but you just can't say it's up for sale and you have a right to bid. If somebody bids higher than him, it's their property.
Actually, I was getting that.
I'm sorry.
Just yesterday afternoon, I received another unsolicited proposal from a developer who wants to build a townhouse on
There you
this.
go.
So what this does, by doing an advertised notice, I'll bring to you all the responses received. You can look at the mix that's there to see, in your opinion, which would best serve the interest of the neighborhood and the CRA, and choose from there.
I think what would serve the best as CRA would be townhouses, personally.
Well, yeah, and obviously having some type of a deed restriction, because if you're going to go into a neighborhood that has a low medium income and build townhomes that are unaffordable for anybody in that community to be able to live there, you're really
Yeah.
not serving that community.
Is
you
that,
know?
is that zoned for both though?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's zoned for both.
It's zoned for
Hold on.
city center.
I have Commissioner Davis, and I don't know what's going on with the mics tonight. So I know it's Commissioner Davis who's trying to point hers, and then I have board member. Go ahead, board member Davis. Sorry.
It slipped me. Go ahead.
Okay.
You run.
But she said it slipped her mind, so she'll
Oh.
come back. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I just wanted to see so what you're asking for though is to be able to publicize that that we are thinking about selling the properties, not that we are definitely selling them and not that we're selling them for a specific purpose.
Correct, absolutely.
It's just putting the notice out there to see what the interest is, and
That's
then we
it.
can go from there. So we could, am I correct that this is not like, once you put it out there, it doesn't mean we have to do anything with it. We can come back and we can say, nope, don't like it, don't want to do it, and move on.
In fact, the notice will specify that you have the right to reject any and all proposals.
Okay, so if there is something that comes up, then we can do deed restrictions and that sort of thing if need be.
Completely.
Okay, then
And
I'm
I
fine with
can
it.
also tell you, I will work with the city attorney to make sure that one, it's a legal compliant notice to the statutes, and two, that it does not commit you to a decision until you actually have the opportunity to make the decision.
Okay, go ahead, Eve. I know you want to say something.
Mayor, just one thing on the actual parcels. I believe they're subject to the rack, and I don't think there are any rack units available right now. So
Right.
if somebody wanted to build a townhome, they'd have to wait for the replenishment of the rack.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and then I'm fine with it.
All right, yeah, I understand that, and I understand the rack. I just know the conversations that we've had here, and we were looking for another area to do at home Dania Beach, and this was the area that we were looking at. And I know I'm not going crazy. I know this is the area that we were looking at, and so if a developer wants to come put townhomes, that's okay, but put townhomes there that community can't participate in, I don't understand what message we would be sending to build homes where we were going to do affordable homes, but to now build homes there or have a developer. And right now, hardly no one is building because it's so expensive to build. There's a lot of our projects that are here down Dania Beach Boulevard that haven't started because it's expensive to build and the cost of construction is going up. So do we think that they're going to be moderately, even workforce homes that are going to go on that property? Absolutely not, because the developer won't get they won't get their money back. So
Okay.
I'm concerned. I'm concerned that we're going to flip this property and it's going to go to the highest bidder, and they're going to build homes there that don't serve that community.
Well, I think just to clarify what may be some confusion, I have brought to you on 3 separate occasions the concept of developing CRA property with housing on 3 separate occasions. And I can tell you that I have proposed 5 basically standalone single-family lots that are scattered through the neighborhoods. And I have never brought to you these collection of properties in that conversation. I'm just telling you, you can go back and, or if you
Maybe
want,
you-
I can go back and show you the memos that were part of the
Yes,
discussion.
I would like to see that and ask your staff that's in the audience, because I can guarantee you that they won't say the same thing. Because if it's one thing that I do my homework on, is that at home Dania Beach program. And we have been talking about that since before you were here. And so I am very aware that those were the homes, because it was 5 lots. And then we smushed it down to 4 lots because we said one wasn't buildable. And then we said the only viable thing to do would be to share walls and build townhomes on that property. I mean, Kathleen, Keisha, Bill, anyone, am I going crazy, or does this sound remotely familiar? Because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I definitely would like to know that. Are they okay to speak?
I'll follow up and I will go back through the agendas for our CRA meetings. I'll pull up where my recommendations have been for property development. And I will copy all of you on the memos that shows the property addresses that I was proposing.
Thank you.
Based upon what I'm hearing tonight, I don't know if you'd like to put parameters on any advertisement that is done. For example, that if you want to sell it for a residential purpose, and you could you say that the property would be subject to some sort of covenant or yeah, covenant on the land for a certain amount of time for affordability purposes, like an 80% or 100, whatever the number is. I know that I was working on the RFP for
Smith properties.
the Smith properties,
Yes.
and there's a covenant condition in that RFP. I don't know if you want to do something similar here.
I would love that opportunity to be able to do that. It would make me way more comfortable in selling it out, knowing that we have some type of a say so whether or not what type of home goes there and at what value in that community. Vice Chair.
Well, I have a little bit of disagreement on that. I just think that I don't think it should be 100% our position to tell somebody if they purchase a piece of property what they can put on it if it matches what the code says. I really feel adamant about the CRA properties, that the value of the property is going right now, that all CRA properties should be put up for sale, and the money should go into whatever you want to do and let somebody build a restaurant or build a townhouse or whatever. I think the people that these investors that put this money out to build have a little bit more, I think, an advantage than we do to make a decision on whether it's profitable or not and affordable or not. They're not going to overbuild an area that is not going to sustain the income of a person purchasing it. That's just my opinion. But I mean, I will probably ask the board for a vote to put them up for sale, maybe at the next meeting when you bring it up.
And as part of the package I bring to you next month, I will also have an appraisal run of this accumulated property so that you'll know the value that you're dealing with in the conversation.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. But I guess I need to clarify, do in fact I have your approval to issue a public notice to this effect?
Not for me.
Okay, thank you. In terms of economic development activities, we actually have two facade grant applications that have been signed. They're still missing pieces in that they do not have cost estimates from a general contractor. But we do have two signed applications. They're just incomplete applications. Bill is working with them to try to get them to complete and give us a valid application. There's been a number of Bravo business visits in the past month. Alex's Flaming Groves and Gift Shop on Federal Highway, Banyan House on Federal Highway. I have to admit, I didn't realize it because it was tucked in the back corner. We actually have a craft brewery along our Federal Highway corridor by the name of Three Sons Brewing Company. That's 236 North Federal Highway. That, frankly, is a very nice addition to an arts and entertainment district. Victoria L'Original Coffee and Coffee Service on Federal Highway. My Mama's Books and Records. This is a very interesting piece that is an arts-based business. They specialize in vintage vinyl records, which is a very hot trend today. Robert's Restaurant on Sterling Road, Jimmy's Cakes, Chocolates, and Cafe. They are closed, and there actually was some clarification. They are just they're throwing in the towel because some of their family members are done with the business. That property is up for sale for $2.8 million. I don't have that. I can look it up for you, though. Okay. The Ornamental Home and Design Shop, which is Federal Highway. This is basically the wrought iron business and so forth that's diagonally across the intersection from the Fish Grill. A special needs group. This is actually a provider of rental wheelchairs, scooters, oxygen, and so forth for visitors to our community. They have close relationships with cruise lines and so forth so that people can do shore excursions. The Russ Codner Galleries was one of the visitations. And we have notice of a new business coming to the city, Tipsy Salon Bar. It is a full-service hair, nail, and facial salon, but they serve wine and beer. For the patch, to give you a quick update, last week, 3 of our 4 part-time employees were diagnosed positive with COVID. The patch was shut down. The city assisted by sending out a deep cleaning team to clean the sheds and the facility and so forth. And it will be reopening this week with social distancing, masks, and so forth. That's reflective of the recent COVID diagnosis. I wanted to bring to you an update because there's been discussion of doing a strategic plan for the patch. I have talked with our CRA plan consultant about perhaps expanding this as a focus area with kind of an expanded scope of work for the patch. They have done some fundamental research and have come up with some observations that you should be aware of. The patch site is actually composed of 2 parcels of land. The largest parcel is actually a right of way that has never been vacated. And it actually is like a reverse C. It is actually the frontage of the entire site on Northwest First Street, and it is the frontage on Dania Beach Boulevard. The non-right-of-way piece is actually landlocked and does not touch to either street. The total size of the land area of the patch is 1.1 acres. We have mistakenly described this as 1.6 acres. It is 1.1 acres. And it is zoned as neighborhood residential, which is single family, basically 2-story high single family houses. The dimensions of the site are really peculiar. The patch is approximately 80 feet wide by 626 feet long. Based on its dimensions and by right zoning, basically it would accommodate 2 single-family houses, one at the north end and one at the south end. It's got some visible stormwater issues. In fact, through stormy periods, rainy periods, the patch actually floods. But at the north end of the patch is approximately 3 to 4 feet below the grade of Northwest First Street, which means all the water that runs down First Street comes into the patch. And then along the south side, it is actually 1 to 2 feet higher than the residential properties to the west of the patch. So it actually could be, it's a channel for stormwater as it comes down. That needs to be recognized. The site at one time was used as a dump site, so it is likely that it has some environmental issues to it. And according to VHB, they actually were concerned about how we would approach this because this has a chance of being a very expensive analysis or something that is the start of analysis with more follow-up. And the big difference between the approaches is to actually come up with a solid plan that could be implementable. It would require an ALTA survey. It would require a topographic survey. It would require geotechnical borings, probably somewhere between 4 to 6 borings, and would require phase 1 and phase 2 environmental assessments. That collection of surveys and studies would cost upwards of $25,000 to $26,000. So VHB has made 2 proposals. One is, in fact, both of them is that they would give you a strategic overview of potential uses and opportunities that could be part of the patch and its context within the overall CRA and the neighborhood. Their less expensive proposal is for $5,500 to do this strategic overview. it would not include the technical reports and surveys and so forth that would be behind it. The alternate proposal is for $35,500, which includes all of the engineering and survey reports. Frankly, the recommendation is, it seems like it would be good to get an idea of what kind of strategic opportunities the patch might represent before you invest significant monies to actually determine the environmental and topographical and hydrological conditions of the patch. But that's left to you, and I look to your direction.
Anyone recommend something other than what he has recommended?
No.
Oh,
Is that okay? I can
Yes.
increase the scope of work for VHB by $5,500 for a
Yes.
strategic plan for the patch?
yes.
Thank you. Also, there was discussion about adding a new storage shed to the patch. They are having significant problems with storage for farmers market events and distribution. We actually finally have a price estimate for that. A shed that would be a duplicate of the existing shed that's there, the red shed, the large one, with secured anchors onto the north end of the concrete pads under the pavilion. The shed needs to be air conditioned. It needs to be insulated. It needs electrical outlets and so forth. The total cost for that shed is estimated at $7,900. And if approved, would require a budget transfer.
City manager, are you on?
Mute, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, let me see.
I had this conversation with you and Frank. We said that we were going to see if we had money in the budget in order to facilitate this.
My recommend, can you see me or just hear me?
We cannot see you. We can only hear you, but let me try and ask you to start
I
your
mean,
video.
I'm sitting here in my.
And Frank, hold on, I don't need to talk. Jose, sorry, I didn't see your hand up. Oh, Lord.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay.
And Frank, I'm going to promote you to panelist, Frank, so you can. All right, everyone's on. Go ahead.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and buy the shed and invest the $8,000 before we do the master plan on the patch.
Yes, they're having storage issues now. Regardless if we do a master plan on the patch or not, we need adequate storage for the people at the patch.
Okay. Certainly, if that's what you guys want to do, we'll certainly, find where we can locate the additional $7,000 to get that shed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have any discussion with that? Yes, okay, hold on. Can you click your button? Let me see if
There we go. Got it.
it's on. Okay, go ahead.
That was actually going to be my question, because if we just said we were going to put more money into expanding for the strategic plan or for the master plan for the patch. I understand they're having storage issues, but they've been making do as it is. It's going to take some time to get a new shed over there anyway, put together the whole thing. I kind of would rather see what the master plan comes up with and see, because to me, it makes more sense to see everything that we need. And I mean, instead of doing things in piecemeal, that's all.
All right, I have a question for you, Mr. Chen. How long, in your estimation, around a wild guess, would you think it would take for even not the entire master plan, because we're doing the consolidated version of one, if you will, but then to have discussion and RFPs and possible any movement really going on that patch? How long do you think that would be?
We talked about cost and I guess the details about what would be the plan would entail. We did not discuss a time frame. If I may, let me bring that answer back to you next month.
I guess what I'm asking is, do you see that the need for the storage, we need it right now, regardless of what we intend to do with the patch? Because I don't see that happening in the next few years, to be, honest of where these things may go and how slow government is with everything. And that's with all projects.
Maybe I can answer your question better than I did already. The target completion for the CRA plan update is being brought to you. Our target is August.
Okay.
So that's not that far away. I can tell you it's kind of a balance. You're absolutely correct. The patch is extremely short on refrigerated storage space. However, between now and August, it seems like if they've endured it this long, another 2 months would make little difference.
Well, no, August is the plan update. We're talking about what you are discussing right now, which would
Yes.
be an entire assessment. And then even with that assessment, us deciding on what would be done with it and having that constructed, I don't think that that's going to be too much.
It wouldn't be constructed for sure, but I would expect them to have the strategic plan focus for the patch master plan. I would expect them to have that as part of the completed plan update. So I think you'll see what the ideas are by August when we bring the plan update to you. Then you can decide from there based on what is suggested and so forth. If you can decide from there if you want to do some of these technological studies and so forth, or I would expect there'll be some illustrations of layouts and that type of stuff that you can determine from there if the timeliness of investing in that shed would make sense or not.
Okay.
Once you make a decision, I think the shed can arrive pretty quickly.
Yeah, I know. I'm just gonna ask for a vote because I don't like we have enough luxuries to not have the patch not operating with what they need. Just to say they've been operating this long to keep operating it and what they're operating at. And it's hot and it's the heat and it's South Florida. And we know how hot it is. And so I'm just gonna ask if we have consensus for you all to be able to order the shed. I mean, if we don't need it there, it's not something that can't be repurposed, correct? Can it be moved, Mr. Chen? Could that shed be moved?
It would be anchored, but it would be somewhat minimal expense to move it if it were
Okay.
there.
All right. So I'm gonna ask, do we have support to get the, I have one yes. Is it another yes? Yes. All right. Thank you all.
I'm sorry, I didn't follow. So
Yes.
to move forward with the shed,
Yes.
we'll do that.
Thank you. Thank you, City
Um,
Manager. Thank you, Frank.
You got it. Thank you.
And just we're actually, this has been a lot on the agenda. Sorry for that, but there's a lot going on. The patch also held a volunteer appreciation event just to try to keep everybody that's interested in the patch to keep coming back. They're trying to gradually reopen as we Oh, okay, there we go. Thank you. We've had a scholars tour of the patch. We're working with a children's group to come to the patch and so forth. We're all going to, of course, as these events continue, we will make sure that there is safe social distancing and so forth in light of the recent COVID issues. And June is the next. Oh, okay, thank you. June is the National Fruit and Fresh Vegetables Month, so the patch is highlighting on that and putting out brochures to try to emphasize their contributions to community for fresh produce. And with that, that is the conclusion of the admin report. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have the consent agenda. Do we have any pulls? Nope. Motion to approve. Do we have a second? All in favor? Anyone opposed? All right. Next, we have board member comments. Board member Davis.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say that was able to attend the community meeting with the residents this past week, and I thought it was a really good idea. It was great to have a forum where the residents are able to put in their opinions and ideas about what they think, how the city should move forward. My only suggestion, or maybe because they were back to back and there were two sessions, in two consecutive days, is that maybe that was too close together, and maybe you didn't get the turnout the second day that you would have gotten if it had been more spread out. But I thought it was a really good idea. I think it's something that should be done regularly and allow the residents to be able to voice their opinions with how they feel that the city should go forward. So I really appreciated doing that. So thank you, and that's it for me.
Thank you. Board member Llewellyn.
Yes, thank you. I also attended the community meetings, couple of them, and I was disappointed in the number of residents that came out. And I know there was a lot of advertising that was done. It was not only on the website, on social media, but also there was an ad in the Dania Beach Press. It was, I mean, I know I told people about it. I'm sure others also told people about it. I agree with you. Maybe if it was spread out over 2 different weeks, but I don't even know that that would have made a difference, quite frankly. It seems like that is a problem that we have overall in the city, where even if we put it out there, people don't seem to want to come out. So it's frustrating. But I was glad to see the people that I did see there, because I do think that there were some very vocal community people that live in the area, work in the area, have businesses in the area, who were there and could add their 2 cents to it. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Board member Llewellyn. I mean, Ottman, sorry.
No comments tonight. Thank you.
Vice Chair.
I have no comments. Thank you.
And the only comment I would have, I from listening to the comments of the 2 board members, and maybe to go into the neighborhoods and have some of the discussions. I know that we had one at a community charrette over at Gallery Up Amazing Things, and it was packed. And so maybe if you did one on one side of the CRA and one on the other side of the CRA, and maybe you have a different turnout, because it is frustrating. We've had job fairs and everything that come to City Hall, and 0 people come. And so I'm not sure of how to get through to them. Maybe go to some of the association meetings that they have, and promote them there, or have them in your parks, or you know, I don't know what the solution is, but definitely we aren't getting the turnout that we want, which means we aren't getting the engagement that we want. And so thank you for having it. I wish more people would have showed up, but maybe we go to the community instead of expecting the community to come where we are. And with that, we are adjourned. See you soon.